These are 10 Xbox Game Pass titles for June, hopefully a good variety of games that are available to jump into right away. First up, we have Alan Wake, this iconic narrative-driven, really spooky sort of game from Remedy is just absolutely fantastic. Use the light to basically fend off the creatures of the dark, while also trying to find out hidden secrets and lost clues towards the disappearance of your wife. Play as one iconic character in one incredible experience. This is definitely not a title to miss, and definitely why I've put it first on my list, because this game is certainly worth your time. It is a beautiful game. It's very well done. The story is fantastic. The character is interesting, and the setting is really mysterious. And the atmosphere is just fantastic in this one. Well worth your time. Next up is Dayz, which was a bit of a surprise to see released on here. This is a multiplayer-only focused experience where there's zombies. It's an open-world game, but the main focus is on your interactions with other players. You can do this through regular vanilla survival servers, or there's also community private servers where PvP is increased, looting is increased, and they have a little bit of fun with the mechanics and the gameplay. So in Dayz, you're generally just trying to survive. There's no real goal or focus. You're going about in this massive map that's filled with little tiny in-depth mechanics such as crafting tools, base building, getting vehicles to run, finding ammo for weapons and tools, and looting and exploring, and just generally trying to survive as long as possible while zombies attack you and other humans cause problems for you. It's a well-known game, and it's great to see it included here because it has been a big boost for the title. Here we have Golf with Your Friends. So this is just a perfect party game. You can have 12 players locally, 12 players online. Get out there and golf on a number of wild courses. So we're just showing off kind of the basic easygoing course. This one is fairly simple, fairly straightforward, but they get really weird. There's like an Egyptian style one, a pirate style one, all kinds of different weird zany things, and it's basically mini golf across a number of holes, and you try to get the best score, obviously because that's golf in general. But there's also lots of customization in regards to how your ball looks, little hats, weird little funky things you can do with that. And then there's also these different variants for games too, so you can play something like non-traditional. You can use like a puck, and there's just lots of little ways to adjust your experience for something that is quick, easy, and fun to play. It's definitely worth giving a try if you want something a little bit more casual. Here we have No Man's Sky. This is an interesting title, as we keep seeing it kind of getting updated year on year, keep changing, keep evolving. It's basically the goal of providing you with the ultimate space exploration title. You can go all the way down to the planets, you can fly around in your spaceship. There's all these different options for how you want to interact with this massive universe. You could play with others, you could play alone, and you're basically going out there just to discover things. The game is actually rather visually gorgeous, in my opinion. Even at this point, I was very surprised jumping back into it just to kind of capture just the scale and the sense of gameplay within it. It's definitely neat if you want to have that aspect of something where it's more of an open-ended travel in space, explore, take in the sights, and do whatever you want in a really large, seemingly ever-expanding universe of space and also planets, because you get to travel to them as well. Here's a bit of a throwback. This is Ryse, Son of Rome. I love the Roman period. I've always found that really fascinating historically, and I really did enjoy this game. So this is an earlier title. It is a brawler type melee focused experience with a heavy mythical type narrative to it. You're basically going in and dealing with these intense barbarians during this fall of the Roman Empire, essentially. It's quite epic, it's large in scale, it's got some neat Kinect integrations if you still have that going on, but yeah, it's just a very well done game, and a beautiful one. The visuals are still just absolutely stunning, and it's got sort of a simple combative mechanic to it with some really neat finishing execution type moves. It's really cool and still worth a try if you haven't played it yet, or maybe you want to jump back in there for a revisit. This is Moving Out, a hilarious and fun cooperative focused experience for couch co-op, basically, or you can play by yourself. So in the game, you're just doing the job of moving people and or businesses out. They do have some wacky stuff to it, obviously, with the ghost running around there, but it's just largely a challenge to finish as quickly as possible within the time in order to get the best possible medal for, your completion. It can be actually rather difficult too. Sometimes you have to work together if you're in co-op to hold the same item. Sometimes you gotta run away from ghosts. And you really gotta be careful in how you stack items together, because sometimes they don't fit and you'll be struggling there in the last little bit. So it does feel a lot like Overcooked, if you are familiar with that game. And it's just really well done. Great family title. Great cooperative experience for the couch co-op. Really well done. This is City Skylines, our first repeating game, and for a good reason. This game is back on Xbox Game Pass after having been removed, and it is the ultimate SimCity experience for the modern age. You get to build this ultimate city. There's tons of great DLC to expand the experience outwards, and you get to do all the kinds of management you want. Setting up the housing, creating sports events, you can do the water, the electricity, you gotta make sure that there's all these little things to keep your city running, municipalities, basically getting the fire people going, getting the paramedics set up, getting your education. It's the ultimate city builder, and City Skylines is just a ton of fun to play with majestic music that carries you the whole way through as you spend hours and hours building, expanding, and just generally having a really casual, cool time. It's a fun game and definitely worth checking out if you like this type of simulation. So we're going back on the Gears of War train. We've taken a little bit of a break, but now we're kicking off again with Gears of War Judgment. So I replayed this recently because I wanted to check it out, and yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. So you've got this unique campaign that's a bit of a prequel. We're following kind of somewhat of a new selection of characters. We do have the coal train. Baird is present there, and you're essentially going in and dealing with the early days of the Locust invasion. On top of that, you can still play the multiplayer because it's got bots present to fill in, so that's great. There are other players too that I noticed. If that's not enough, they do have a really cool overrun mode, which is like basically a defensive type situation, and another one where you're trying to protect positions. Just generally really neat multiplayer and an interesting campaign that maybe should be worth your time, and is cooperative as well if you've got some buddies to go in here and grind up some locusts together with. Here is The Long Dark. So this is based in the Canadian wilderness. It's an intense survival game where you'll be trying to scavenge to basically get enough material so that you can keep on surviving. There's a couple different options. There's a campaign, like a narrative driven story to this one, or there's just regular survival if you want to see how far you can go in the wilderness. I played this game ages when it first released into early access on Steam, and now that it's here on Xbox and a full release on Game Pass, this is just a really neat, different sort of survival game for those that enjoy this kind of experience. I think it actually does deliver on some interesting gameplay mechanics, and it does offer a lot of content to it as you explore this kind of minimalistic, majestic landscape. And yeah, kind of a good title, and I know a lot of people have been asking me to showcase this one for a while, so I'm glad to do so this time. Here is ReCore. So I actually really like this game. I love the main character, Jewel, and her robots. I think the robots are charming, full of heart and character, and I like the mechanics in regards to the color-based combat mixed with platforming. I think they did a lot of things right, and initially they did a lot of things wrong, and they've since fixed that with the definitive version that's included on Game Pass. So this has actually got a really neat narrative-driven story to it. The campaign, as you're going about dealing with these like robots in this hot desert, and trying to figure out the mystery as to what happened, why you're all alone, and you're just constantly building up, advancing, and enhancing your little mechanical friends. It's a lot of gameplay time, and it's definitely worth your time. So those are the Xbox Game Pass titles for the month. I hope you enjoyed, and of course we will have another list for the next month. If you have any other additions, let me know, and I hope you enjoyed.